Morpheus, but not the one you're thinking of. Welcome to Rants and Raves. This time we watched a few episodes of The Sandman. Clyde, what about this show that we call The Sandman?
All right. The Sandman is based on the graphic novels by Neil Gaiman. The Sandman tells his tale of Morpheus, aka Dream, one of a group of immortal beings known as the Endless. He escapes 100-year captivity and sets about on a mission to reclaim his kingdom and his power. Matt, we'll start with you. What did you think about the plots and or writing?
So I was able to watch the first episode of this, and I found it to be extremely engaging. I felt that it was a very beautiful setup for what was going on in the world. I believed in this world where we had other beings that were beyond us, and was able to have different powers into what's going on. The first episode sets up that the whole setting where the basically the god of dreams is locked away for a century, and matches that up with some beautiful parallels in actual history of people not being able to sleep, and not having getting sick from dreams and things like that, and nightmares that were happening during that horrible period of time. And the story that unfolds from there is beautifully just told in a way that made me kind of like long to know where the things were going to be broken and how they were going to be fixed in the future. I really enjoyed how this plot opened up in the first episode.
Cool. Mike?
Yeah. I think I hear other people saying that it kind of starts off a little on the slow side. Um, but for me, it picked up quite quickly. And it sounds like Matt was okay with that initial pacing as well. Um, I I was enthralled from the beginning, and I found the characters and what was going on really interesting, and it just kind of built suspense for me. I was constantly wondering, what's going to happen next? How is this going to play out for everybody that's involved? Because there were some pretty obvious things that could be bad for a lot of the characters that we were meeting. So I found it interesting. I thought it was, even though it was intentionally slow, it kept me on the edge of my seat enough that I just never wanted to stop watching it. I only made it through the first two episodes. Um, I definitely would like to see the third to see how that plot continues, but it was really good up to that point.
Jimmy?
Yeah. So yeah, I'll echo, just, what Matt and Mike both said. It definitely an interesting story, although personally, the first two episodes I thought to be a bit slow. I almost feel like the first two episodes could have been just the first episode, right? I think they should have combined those first two episodes. Uh, but but episode three, yeah, it really, to me, episodes one and two is just kind of introducing you to the story, introducing you to the characters, giving you the backstory, that kind of thing. But then the show really begins, my opinion, in the third episode. So, but yeah, and if you can make it through those first couple of episodes and get through the third, then I think it's fine. I think from there on, it's no problem for anybody who likes this type of genre. You make it through the third episode, then from there on, you should be fine.
This is a property that I have heard people talking about for as long as I can remember. The Sandman series. Um, and I found I typically tend to enjoy Neil Gaiman adaptations, whether it be movies or the other TV shows. Um, So I went into this knowing I'm pretty much with no clue what to expect because I'm not familiar with the story. But knowing I was probably in for the entire ride just because his track record. I will say, like Jimmy said, I think the first 2 episodes would have been a pretty compelling first episode. It they I thought it was a little too drawn out. It didn't deter me, and then episode 3 really took off, and I mean, I finished the entire series. There was no stopping that train once it got rolling. The I like the I think it's beautifully written. It's clearly displays the voice I expect from a Neil Gaiman property.
So the show starts off and introduces us to at least a couple of characters in the first episode that look like we'll be seeing characters that we'll be seeing through the whole series. Obviously, that we are introduced into Morpheus, also known as Dream, our main protagonist of the film. Really, for the first episode, we're not given much to go with him. We do understand he is supposed to be powerful and able to do many things, but the course of that first episode does make it so you don't get to see much of that through the show. We do actually see a little more of his one of his left hand or right hand person in Lucine. She seems to be the caretaker of taking care of the land of dreams while Dreams is gone, while Morpheus is gone. And then we're also introduced into the Corinthian, who appears to be our antagonist for this series, although I'm sure he's not the only one.
Is he the god of leather?
He could be. He does. He does. What was the phrase he said? And that he wants everybody to look like him or something like that. That's a little creepy, but yeah, there you go.
Mike.
Yeah, I guess I should make a correction. First of all, I have only seen the first episode.
Oh.
And for some reason, I thought I'd watched the first 2, but I did a quick glance at it, and I have not seen the second one. So that said, first episode, loved it. The characters were really interesting, and even though you get super little about Morpheus in that first episode, it pulled me in. This mysterious, clearly powerful figure that just is intriguing, and very excited to see how that develops and how that goes, and also really interested and intrigued even with the little snippets that you get about the world that he is from and stuff. And I'm hoping to see lots of that. I know there will certainly be some of it. I've seen the trailer and stuff, but yeah, very well developed intrigue, but you don't get a lot about it. So it's hard to say, are these well-developed characters? I'm a bit mildly familiar with the Sandman mythos from the comics, and definitely like that world and what Neil Gaiman has done in that. But I'm excited to see how this rolls out.
Yeah, I thought the casting of the main character, Tom Sturridge. Am I saying that right?
They wanted Robert Pattinson, but didn't want to pay for Robert Pattinson, so they got this Tom Sturridge guy.
Yeah.
That's my assumption.
I think he's doing a pretty good job of the character. I mean, you think about, I think he's playing the character Morpheus well, right? So I think they did a real good job casting him, and well, really, I mean, everybody I've seen so far has done a pretty good job. And a lot of these characters, I mean, some of them, Patton Oswalt, I've seen, him before, but some of the others, not sure, maybe I've seen him in something else, but
wait till you meet Jenna Coleman. I was super happy when she showed up.
Jenna Coleman.
Yeah, the actress. She
Oh,
shows
okay.
up, but
she-
Doctor Who fans know who she is.
Ah.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I've yet to watch Doctor Who. But yeah, I thought they did a good job casting these characters. I mean, the Morpheus character, especially, I mean, that makes the show. And especially if you, like I say, if you make it to the third episode, you really start seeing him come out and actually be the Sandman, right? So, so yeah, I mean, he obviously overwhelms the show once you get to the third episode, but yeah, really good job there. I think picking that guy to play him.
Having seen the entire series, I can say without a doubt that they nailed it in regards to casting. For the most part, I do have one complaint, which I will get to later. But all of the characters are well defined and completely believable in their motivations, which is the thing that I struggle with the most in most shows where they write people and their decisions make absolutely no sense. This never even second thought about anything through the entire ride.
Awesome.
Just to touch on production quality, I feel like this show didn't spare any expense. It surely looks as realistic as can be in every case. If the period of time where we travel through the first episode looked realistic and authentic, the giant sphere of glass looked great, and I'm sure that was not a practical effect, but instead a CGI effect. But it was worked well for me. So yes, as far as I can tell, everything in this looked great. Everything, all the costumes were nice. Even the brief trip through the dream world with all the craziness going on, that crazy bridge, that looked very cool too. So yeah, absolutely, looked great.
Yeah, definitely second that. The visuals, it was absolutely gorgeous. Really set the tone nicely. I felt like the visuals were perfectly matched to the tone of the show and really helped give it that mysterious feel and such that kind of makes it work for me, even though it moves a little slow. Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough positive about the visuals. One of the most visually stunning streaming shows that I've ever seen, like movie quality for sure.
Yeah, I mean, 4K on Netflix is always great, right? But in this show, was as well. If you have a HDR television, right, you'll definitely see it. You'll see the extra artifacts there in that type of television if you have one. Also, too, the sound, if you have surround sound, as I do, they really paid a lot of detail to that. In some of the episodes where they've got some of the whispering going on, you can hear the whispering, behind you and that kind of thing. So yeah, the production quality, yeah, thumbs up on the production quality.
Yeah, it looks awesome. This show literally goes places, and I didn't question any of those places. And it's beautiful. The stuff that was supposed to be ugly was ugly. Stuff that was supposed to be nice was nice. Perfect.
All right, let's talk about what we did like about the show. For me personally, the storyline was the star of the show. Absolutely, the while it was visually entertaining and all that, the idea of being able to bring in this slight occult, slight magical, slight religious kind of element into a story that and immediately wrecks the world and needs to in order to need to be repaired, is a great plot piece to start off the show on, and that's what pulled me in and made me go, maybe I will watch more of this.
Yeah. I'll second you on that. The imagery and the look and feel of the show, that alone totally enthralled me. But I'm a total sucker for supernatural type shows and occult. Put that in a movie or a TV show, and I'm probably going to give it at least a decent shake. So I was pulled in pretty quickly and super loving it so far.
So
Definitely a lot to like.
Yeah. For me, I mean, and I've said it before already, episode 3 is really where the show begins, right? And so that's definitely the thing that I like so far about it, right? Because episode 3 is where we really start to see him be the Sandman that we all know and love from the comics, right? So episode 3 was the big like for me.
I absolutely loved the imagery, the tone, and the pacing after episode 2, because episode 1 and 2 were good for setup, but again, it could have been one episode because it just takes off, and almost, I will say, every episode after episode 2 is almost like a completely different show. There is even a episode they bring in later that is a completely different show. So you kind of don't know what you're getting episode to episode, which is one of the things that made this fun. It's the same story, but almost told by different people.
So talking about things you maybe didn't like about the film, actually, there's not much to me that I didn't dislike to it, but what I didn't, which it's mostly that I'm fearing, since I only watched the first episode, and it does feel like, because at the end of that first episode, it does show you like a preview of what's going to happen in the rest of the series. It does feel like it changes from what I was experiencing in that first episode into being something more gruesome. And I wasn't, that's not what I would be looking for the show. I mean, that doesn't mean it couldn't be that and be good, but that is the kind of thing that this introduction to the show it seemed to do an okay job of being just the right amount of suspense and story without having to go into what oftentimes happens with with this kind of hyper occult, hyper religious kind of a show, is where it starts getting into things that can be a little bit more of the grotesque for its own, for being grotesque reasons, which is not what I would be interested in. That being said, that doesn't necessarily make it bad. Just that's the only thing that I could think of like maybe there wouldn't be for me.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, for me, the dislikes, it's hard to really find them. Everything about it was really good. The only kind of like mild annoyance that I have is that I spent like a significant portion of the first episode watching this guy sit around naked. It doesn't show anything except, I mean,
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Well, I mean, it depends on who's watching, right? Like I find these kinds of things as limiting factors. I don't know how gruesome it gets, so it's not like I would say, oh, this is appropriate for my daughters to watch. But that alone kind of becomes a limiting factor where I'm like, yeah, you don't see his junk or anything, but it's still a guy sitting around
Not that
naked.
there's anything wrong with that.
So I'm just saying, like, he could have been sitting there in clothes, even just shorts or something, right? Like, what was the point of that? It's okay.
So you wanted
it's a mild, yeah. I mean, it's a mild annoyance. It's not like I would like not watch the show because of it, though. I would not watch it with my 8-year-old daughter because of it. So that's kind of all I'm getting at, is like, it all kind of depends on what happens in the rest of the show. If there's a lot of nudity or grotesque violence that would have also prohibited them from watching, then it doesn't really matter at all. But it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, why? It's not necessary.
Yeah. This is a series you might want to watch through the entire series before you, because there are moments.
Yeah.
There is not an overarching theme in one respect or the other, but there are moments. And like I said, it's almost as if each episode is a different genre.
Mhm.
So
If the moments are, essentially built up correctly and paid off correctly, it's fine. If it's doing bad things for bad things sake, because
No,
hey, we're
no.
watching the newest grossest thing of the thing we could figure out to do this week,
yeah.
not what I'm interested in.
And that's what I was getting at, is everything felt like it was earned. It was justified.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say the one thing that I really disliked was a casting decision. My introduction into the Sandman world was via the TV show Lucifer, which was something I started watching when it was originally on Fox, and I didn't think I was going to get into it, and I ended up absolutely loving that show. Tom Ellis was amazing in that role. So this being the same world, the same characters, I expected Tom Ellis to be there, especially since Netflix owns the Lucifer TV show now. They produced the final 2 seasons. It's not like there was a conflict between, different studios. I mean, I don't have anything against that Brienne lady from the Lady Knight from Game of Thrones, but
Yeah. Gwendolyn something.
yeah. I did. I guess this is like a Doctor Who problem. I guess I have my Lucifer. Tom Ellis is my Lucifer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. Gwendolyn Christie is she plays Lucifer in this, and was in Game of Thrones as the big lady knight.
Yep.
All right. So we have the question of value. Value of this show, since it's on Netflix, means that you're probably already paying for it. So I'm going to actually talk about this as far as value of your time. I think your time is well spent watching this show. I know everybody else has seen more of it than I have, but the production quality and the story and what I'm hearing about the rest of the series, I think it might be worth your time, and I think that's a value well spent.
Yeah, from my perspective, I feel like if you already have Netflix, this is definitely a good value. Would I get Netflix just for this? I probably would have subscribed to Netflix just to watch this, and maybe unsubscribed when I was done if I was not watching other things on Netflix. Since I have it for my kids' TV shows and stuff, it's a no-brainer. As you say, is it a good investment of your time? If you're at all interested in this kind of show, supernatural, occulty kind of stuff, then absolutely.
Yeah, value for me. Yeah, I think that it is good value. However, if you are not too crazy about a slow pace first couple of episodes, or maybe you don't like seeing a grown man naked, then you might want to have an adult beverage maybe before watching the first couple of episodes.
What was the quote from Airplane? Okay, moving on.
Going back to Mike's point, just because something's included with your Netflix subscription doesn't make it a good value. There are plenty of reality garbage on Netflix that it's not even worth wasting a minute of your time. That being said, I do think this is a good value in the fact that if I were to cancel my subscription to Netflix between now and season 2, I would definitely be renewing to watch the next season, which I think is the sign of a good value. And
Damn.
yeah, well, on that note, I think that's what we think. But let us know what you think down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's absolutely free. No reason not to. And then if you'd like to support this channel, click on the link down in the video description. And you can become a patron. See you next time.